Hey, welcome to my channel. This is Barley's Bookshop, and I am Steven. I'm so happy you're here. This is video number 1. This is my first video. I've posted a few shorts since I just started this channel. I'm so happy you found me. I don't know how you did, but thank you for wandering over into Barley's Bookshop. So, you know what? How do I start video number 1? How do I start the first video? I don't know. I could totally overthink this, but I thought, you know what? Let's just start this way. I love books. I love talking about books. Obviously, I love reading books. So I thought, let's not overthink video number 1. Let's just talk about where I've been recently with my reading, what I'm reading currently, and you know, perhaps we'll take a look ahead. We shall see. But let's just kind of start that way. And I hope that this video is one of, you know, many that I could just sit here and connect with you guys through our shared love of reading. That's the main thing. So where have I been with my reading journey lately? And I'll talk to you more about what brought me here and you know, why I started this channel. There'll be plenty of time for that. So for this video, let's just talk about what I'm reading, what I just finished reading, where I've been recently, and what I'm reading currently, right? Because I'm sitting here talking to you at the beginning of November. It is November 1st, and so we are just coming, you know, out of October. And during the month of October, I really focused in on, I wanted to do some spooky season reads, and that's not my that's not my my go-to. That's not what I love necessarily. That's not like, oh yeah, I love scary books, or I love horror, or I love, you know, that's not necessarily my thing. But I did kind of like commit to reading some good kind of spooky season vibe books. So let me see. I just finished, like, for example, a couple books I started. I read Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, which I absolutely loved. But then I really committed to reading some Stephen King, because I haven't read a lot of Stephen King. So for spooky season, for the month of October, I put a couple of books on my October TBR, my October hopeful, and I read both of these books. So I read Pet Sematary, and then I also read Salem's Lot. And I really, I mean, these books really brought out the October in my spooky season reading. You know, if you haven't read these two books, or if you're new to Stephen King, or if you've read a lot of other Stephen King but haven't read one of these, I definitely recommend both of them. Kind of for different reasons, if I'm going to be real, because this book here, Salem's Lot's going to be a book I think I talk about in a future video, because I think this is a really great conversation, or a great book to include in any conversation about DNF, right? As readers, we love our acronyms, right? What's on your TBR? Oh, I DNF'd it, right? So we love our acronyms. So books that we decide to DNF, in other words, did not finish, I think Salem's Lot is a great conversation, because let me tell you about 2 quick things about Salem's Lot by Stephen King from my point of view. One, I almost DNF'd it. You know, I have I make videos on the other platform as well, and I know I talked in that video about how close I came to DNFing Salem's Lot, and I'm so glad I didn't. So like I said, 2 things about this book. One is I almost DNF'd it, and 2, I really like this book. So I'm so happy I did not end up DNFing it. But like I said, I think that Salem's Lot is a great book to include in conversations of why we don't decide to DNF a book. But anyway, another subject for another video perhaps, right? And so also in October, I read Pet Sematary. Wow, this book's really disturbing, and it was perfect. I mean, this was like a perfect October read. What what this book, like I said, since I'm new to Stephen King, and I know that so many people just like, they love Stephen King so much. I didn't have like FOMO. I wasn't like, well, what am I missing? I was just like, hey, he's popular with a lot of people for a reason. It's spooky season. Let's see. And I asked for some suggestions and recommendations. Pet Sematary was like the book that got kind of the most recommendations for me to pick up during spooky season. Pet Sematary really helped me appreciate Stephen King's writing in regards to the descriptiveness of setting and mood. There is just this atmosphere in this book. If you haven't read it, I really recommend it. Know what you're getting into. It's very disturbing. There are a lot of there are several things that happen in this book that will kind of leave a mark on your soul. But what Stephen King does here, just in regards to creating this mood and this atmosphere, it really made me appreciate him as a writer. I felt like as Lewis, as Dr. Creed, when he's like walking up to the pet cemetery with his neighbor, who to me is like my favorite character in the book, but and they're walking towards the cemetery with Judd. There's just this like this mist fog kind of vibe, and even as I'm reading it, I kind of felt like I was being kind of surrounded by it. Those were great, perfect books for my spooky season. Okay, so what else have I read recently that's not spooky season? Let's talk about this book, because this book was one that I guess I expected to like this book. I just didn't know like I would love it as much as I did. But The Correspondent by Virginia Evans, I really enjoyed reading this book, and once again, this book in itself can become its own video of conversation, because one of the things that you'll take from this book is the main character, Sybil Van Antwoord. I should probably make notes before I make videos, so I'm doing all this off the top of my head, so forgive me. But our main character here, Sybil Van Antwoord, she writes letters. That's kind of like the title, The Correspondent. It just really talks about the lost art of handwritten notes and handwritten letters. Now, this book goes in other directions too. It brings out themes of things that I thought were wonderful, and perhaps I can maybe make my own video, just a video just on this book, perhaps, because The Correspondent. Definitely recommend this book. To me, this was like a 5-star read, because you get to know this character just through her notes. So the entire book is written in a series of letters, and at first that was like, I didn't know how that was going to play with me. I know like the fancy word for that is the epistolary style, right? Where I didn't know how that was going to play. I'm glad I read this book. It was so good. Because we got to know our character, we got to know her flaws, we got to know just kind of like her brilliance, intelligence, her successes. We also got to know her flaws, her stubbornness, how some of the decisions she made in the midst of her grief led to led to other issues in her life. Really wonderful book, guys. If you haven't read The Correspondent, do so. I'm glad I read that. Yeah, so I snuck that in between my my two Stephen King spooky season reads. Okay, and then also let me just show you one more of my recent reads. So these were all books that I've read within the past 3 to 4 weeks. And this one is called Human Acts. I had never read a book by Hong Kong, but wow, this book it's incredible. Huge, trigger warnings. I know that's such a cliche phrase that to use, but just be aware of what this book is about in regards to how it may affect you, because it is very heavy. But if you haven't read Human Acts, that'll get you. It's about the student uprising in South Korea. It was in 1980. And just the government's brutal, just horribly brutal response to that student protest. And this book really deals and delves into issues of grief and loss. But the thing about Hong Kong is how she wrote this. She goes from first person to second person to third person point of views. And each point of view, it's the way it's written has its own power. Like the chapters that are first person point of view just feel so personal. And whereas the second person point of view chapters make you as the reader feel like you're there, you're in it, you're being invited in, like you're part of this protest and all like the dangers that could happen. The third person point of view is like we get to see kind of a bird's eye view of how the events of this protest and the aftermath of the loss and grief and massacre. And this is a really great book. I have been wanting to read it for a long time. I finally did. So look, here are my, I'm trying to be, here we go. I have really small hands. These are my like recent reads. Cool. These are like my past 3 to 4 weeks worth of reads. And so 2 of those were in my 10 before the end. And so the 2 books I'm reading right now are 2 others that are in my kind of 10 before the end pile. And one of them is I'm currently reading The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. Believe me, we will be talking about John Steinbeck because I will be talking about East of Eden and how much I love that book. And then I'm also reading Misery. This was when I put together my little Stephen King pile that I talked about before. This is my November. I thought a cool kind of getting colder, getting ready for winter, kind of isolated kind of vibe is going to be cool with Misery. I already have another Stephen King set for December that we'll talk about soon. But so currently I'm reading Misery. I'm getting kind of well into it. It's really creepy from page 1. Annie Wilkes is one of just this creepy character. And I'm really into this already. And then I'm kind of well into Grapes of Wrath already too, just in regards to his writing style is just amazing. I love it so much. So anyway, first video of many that I want to just sit here and talk to you about books. And so today I thought, let's just talk about what I have read recently and what I'm reading currently. And that way we could just start this conversation. What are you reading? I would love to know. I kind of have my, I have my where I'm going next kind of pile pretty set. I'm always open. I'm reading, I guess I'm doing my 10 before the end more quickly than anticipated. So I might have time to squeeze in another book or 2. So if you have like a don't miss it kind of book, let me know. Jump in my comments. I love feedback. I love getting recommendations of books from all of my book friends, because I end up hearing about things, reading things, looking into things that I would not have known otherwise. So that's cool. But also, I'm getting in that time where as I'm finishing my 10 before the end, I will also be doing getting ready for like my first kind of pile, whatever I'm going to call that. Oh, first 6 of 26. I'm like, oh my God, 2026. Like, shouldn't we be like the Jetsons by now? Anyway, I'm going to be putting together my pile of books I'm going to read, for my first set of books for the new year. Would love to hear what you think about what maybe I should look towards. The books I talked about, have you read any of them? I'd love to know your thoughts. Guys, I'm just so happy you guys are here, that you found me. I just appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, please do, because I would love to keep doing what I'm doing here. So thanks for watching, and hope you guys are having a great day. Have a great day, and read a good book.